Hi everyone and welcome to my new channel. My name is Kirsty and this channel is called Stuck in the Mud. Well, what is Stuck in the Mud? Well, I have a long history of mental health illness. Quite a long history actually. It's probably going back to the age of 5 when it all began. And my history is mainly with OCD and anxiety disorders. I'd like to say I probably have had bouts of depression along the way as well, but it's just something that's blighted huge parts of my life. And if there's something I want to do now, and my OCD or the OCD mind, I try and think of it as separate from myself. You know, it's telling me not to do this. It's quite good at controlling you and what you do and what you don't do. So I'm really trying to go against it these days, guys, and, do what I want to do because I really feel I could help people or make people feel less alone. And that's really the aim of this channel, is to kind of be there for people because, sometimes it's quite a lonely place with these kind of disorders. You feel like you're alone. You feel like you're the only one that is going through this. And way back then, when I was 5 and when it all began, I think I probably did feel like that because I'm 44 now. So, it's kind of gone a long time, but it's not been, I've had times in my life where it's not been as prevalent, It's just really, I've had probably 2 serious kind of rock bottom moments in my life where it took quite a lot of recovery. So that I'm going to touch on that within the channel. I'm going to go into more details with those kind of things. But yeah, so we're starting with this new channel. Obviously, it's called Stuck in the Mud. Why did I come up with the name Stuck in the Mud? Well, my son, I've got 5 children with my husband. So we have 3 girls, and then we have our son, and then we had another daughter 2 years ago. So my son now is 4, and he always used to say stuck in the mud. I think he used to like looking at picture books, elephants. He loves elephants. Seeing like the animals stuck, and he'd see the elephants at the zoo, and he's always saying stuck in the mud, stuck in the mud. And I got thinking one day, and I thought, you know what, that'd be a really good name for a mental health channel because it does literally feel like you're stuck, especially with OCD. You can kind of get stuck in those cycles where, and rituals where it's just going round and round and round. I get that, I really do. It's been tough at times, and I'm sure you guys, if you're experiencing the same things, it's tough. It really is, and you do feel stuck, stuck in that kind of, stuck in the mind, it's there. It's you can't escape it sometimes. That's how it feels. But, there is a way, there is help. And I want you guys to see that too. It's something, these are the things I use with my recovery. And there's things that, that I hope you can use too. And, it isn't linear. Everyone's different. And what might work for one person might not work for the other. I've definitely tried many things over the years to try and, get back functioning again, because at times it has been hard. Like I say, there was 2 times when I think I got to a place where I wasn't functioning, and there's been other times that have been difficult, and it can feel like a constant in your life. And if I could just help that one person to not feel so alone and get the help they need, because at the end of the day, this is no replacement for therapy. I'm not a therapist, although it's something I would like to maybe get into professionally in the future. But there is help out there, but it's not always the easiest thing to access. I know that. There's been times when I've really needed help and I haven't been able to get it. But it's just, you can get the help, but it's not always the easiest. I'm going to say that, I think everyone would agree, wherever you're living in the world, I know here in the UK, it can be quite hard to get the help, and you might be put on a waiting list, which has happened to me. But when you do get the help, it really does help. However, what I've always found is myself, if I get help online or if I listen to people online, I always seem to connect well with the people that have been through it themselves, because the psychiatrists, psychologists, whatever, they're really good at what they do. However, they may not have had that personal experience, and that's fine. It's fine. You can do that job well, and you can help people and treat people and help people get better. But I've always found it helpful to hear people and who have been through it. They've been through that. They've been stuck in the mud. They've stuck in those thoughts. So yeah, if I could just help you, that'd be great. That'd make me feel good and help me in my recovery with it too. Because it's still there. I'd say I can go through the day and it not interfere too much anymore. I'm in a much better place. That's why I'm here filming this video. So I hope you get something out of this too, guys. So but no, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below, and if you're going through something like this, maybe you've never been officially diagnosed, but maybe you suspect that you're going through something like that. Like I say, I wasn't diagnosed properly with it till I was in my 20s, I think. So like I say, and I recognise now that it started around the age 5. I'm going to kind of touch on where that all began, but I do have a vivid memory from when I was, I think, 5 years old in infant school. So I hated being apart from my mum. It was the worst thing. I was a very anxious child. I didn't want to be apart from my mum. And I just remember a memory of being in like the hall, the assembly area, and I got in school, and yeah, I was so nervous about my mum being out there on her own, and I'd do what I could, even though I was away from her. I'd be doing what I could to keep her safe, or what I thought would help keep her safe. That's important to say. And I remember sitting there in assembly, and I remember saying over and over and over in my head, like, going, "Mummy, mummy, mummy, mummy," because I thought if I said that over and over and over again, that would keep her safe. It's what I did that back then to cope being away from her. And I see that now as for what it was. It was a ritual I was doing to, like I say, I thought that would help keep us safe. And that's the child's mind. It's my way of coping in that scenario, being away for the first time. We'd always been really close with my mum, and, and it was just that separation, maybe a separation anxiety, but it turned into a ritual. So that's kind of my first memory of it, really, I suppose. So yeah, it's just thinking back, you think of all these things you used to do, and although I knew that there was something not right, I knew it wasn't particularly a normal thing to be doing. What is normal, but I did feel like this isn't right. It was causing me so much distress, because it turned into I had to do these rituals to keep her safe, because it went from kind of thinking this would keep her safe to I have to do this because then my family will be safe. So it kind of escalated to keeping my whole family safe. I had all these different rituals that I had to do as I was getting older. Then it was touching things in a certain order, like maybe toys in my room, touching things before I went to bed at night, and I had to do it in a certain order to keep them safe, keep my family safe. And as a young child, it's quite a lot of pressure, that pressure on you to keep your family safe. And if you don't do it right, or you don't sort of feel right when you've done it, you're going to have to do it again. And I remember some nights breaking down because I'd have to do it over and over and over again, and I can remember just breaking down thinking, because my mind was saying, you need to do it again because they're not going to be safe. You need to do it again. And you know what, that one more time usually turns into, 5 more times, 10 more times, maybe 20 more times, maybe more, And it's so hard, and it's a lot of pressure on those young shoulders. And I didn't really understand what was happening. I didn't think that anyone else would understand, really. So I don't think I told anyone. It was only really as I got older, I think my family did start to notice some, little rituals I was doing. I remember vividly, I'd have to sit down, stand up again, sit down, stand up again, sit down, stand up again. It might have to be for a certain number of times. I think it was like 3 times or something. But then do it another 2 times after that. So there was all sorts of intricate, orderly things you had to do, and they had to be a certain way. It had to be that way. And that's the big difference, it's having to be that way. The thing with OCD though, it comes out in so many different ways, so many different themes. It's always changing. It'll always find a way to come in. And this is what I've found throughout my life. There's been certain themes. It's always moving, OCD. It'll move on to something else. And it's always something that means so much to you. So like I say, my family. And, it doesn't hold back, OCD. It really doesn't. So I guess with this channel, it's going to mainly focus on OCD because it is, like I say, something that I have definitely experienced in my life, and also anxiety disorders and depression, because these are also things that have affected me, and depression being the byproduct. You're going to feel depressed. It grinds you down after so long of going through this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to focus on those things, but I'm going to kind of look at kind of wider aspects of things as well that that I can identify with, because like I say, it manifests so many different ways, and it'll twist and turn. So we're going to kind of look at all these things in closer details in future videos. So I hope that's going to be useful to you too. Because as I have got older, it's definitely become less physical. The rituals certainly became more internal. So internalized, I'm talking about intrusive thoughts, catastrophizing. It's gone more internal. So, and it's not as noticeable to the outside world. You might look like you're struggling with something, you might look down or depressed. I think I'd say my husband recognizes when maybe I'm having a bad day. He recognizes it now. We've been married almost 17 years. So yeah, it's definitely been a learning curve for him as well. So yeah, that might be something we look at as well, like how your family reacts and how they can support you with this. So yeah, partners, husbands, wives, everyone, because it's really hard for them to see you so distraught, because it's really debilitating at times. And I have been really quite ill with it at times, and I really do sympathize with anybody going through this. It's a really hard place to be, especially when you're going through a particularly bad patch, and like I say, 2 times I'd say I've been really at rock bottom place where I couldn't function at all. Both of those times I was in, I'd say, the postpartum period. It was a really difficult time in my life, and I look back on that time, and it's hard to believe how low I was. I mean, low as in, like, I was just constantly crying all the time. I was feeling very, very scared and vulnerable, and it's so hard, and I can really relate to anyone going through that, where you're just so scared of your thoughts. You're so, you feel paranoid. It's an awful feeling to have, where you're just consistently bombarded by intrusive thoughts and scary images in your head, and thoughts that you've done this, you've done that, and what a bad person you are. It makes you believe all kinds of things. Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. So it's scary. It can be really, really scary. And until you've really been in those kind of positions with it, I don't think you can really understand how bad it can get, and it'd be great if people could get the help and support before they got to that position. And whereas that isn't always possible, And this is why I think channels like this and others that raising the awareness with obsessive compulsive disorder help, is that people have that knowledge, and they know that there's someone out there that understands and can help them and support them through these times in their lives. Because, you know, life is always full of ups and downs, and, you know, it can get pretty tough sometimes. So yeah, it's difficult, but, you know, I've proven it to myself time and time again. I can get better from this, and you guys can too if you're experiencing anything like that. You know, but it isn't always the easiest thing, and sometimes you can feel quite defeated with it, but it's just sticking with that uncomfortable feeling, those feelings of uncertainty. That is one of the biggest things with OCD, is the feeling of uncertainty, where you just want absolute certainty, and it's not possible. And I've had to come to an acceptance with that, you know, that it's not possible to have that certainty in life, and that's a scary thing to say in itself, you know, for anyone, but anyone that struggles with obsessive compulsive thoughts, that is just like, yeah, it's probably one of the worst things you could say to someone, you know. But when you get to that acceptance, things just suddenly become much easier, and they can for you too. So, you know, whereas, yeah, I have my good days, I have my bad days, and it's just remembering what you need to do to help yourself. And like I say, we're going to discuss all kinds of ways that you can help yourself, and things, therapy you can access, even medication, because that is something that I have been on and off, and I've had various different antidepressant medication. But we're going to like delve into that separately, you know, and talk about that, because it's quite a personal decision whether you go on to medication or not. But I have found that during the tough times, it has helped me a great deal, along with some kind of therapy, such as exposure response prevention or metacognitive, which I'm going to be talking about a lot more, because it's one that's not mentioned an awful lot. I hear a lot about exposure and response prevention, which is seen as, I'd say, the gold standard in treatment of obsessive compulsive disorder. But metacognitive therapy is, I've not really heard it talked about an awful lot. I think it's probably a bit newer. And obviously cognitive behavioural therapy. And these are things we're going to be looking at in greater detail. And medication. Yeah, medication, again, it's very personal, but it's something I've found helpful. And I'm currently on medication, you know, so, and I know it can be a scary thing for people. It's scary for me. And again, yeah, I'll be talking about my experiences postpartum and the tricky ride, you know, to get on the right medication, because there is a lot out there, and then what's right for one person is not going to be right for the other. So yeah, we'll be looking at that a lot more. So yeah, I would like to help people who struggle with OCD and anxiety disorders, and be a positive impact in the mental health community, because I think it needs support now more than ever. You know, I know it's hard always to get the help. So if you've got someone that can kind of cheer you on and who understands what you're going through, it's going to help, you know. It's just knowing that someone's there who understands. So yeah, offering insight from my personal experience, you know, if I can help you and you can help me, you know, it's going to be a good thing. So stay tuned, guys. There's going to be many more videos. I hope to upload around 2 times a week, and we'll discuss things in more detail, and you guys can talk to me, and it'll be great. You know, I think it's going to be a really good thing. So stay tuned. And I just want to finish by saying, you are not your thoughts. You are so much more, and you deserve to get better, to be better, and live a life that's not controlled by OCD and anxiety. So I look forward to seeing you again, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and you maybe resonated with a lot of what I was saying. We'll see you next time.